Hey there, this is Frank Klesitz with Vyral Marketing, and you're watching a live YouTube Live Google Hangout to get to the bottom of what's working to get more business, to get more clients by staying in touch with your number one business asset, which is your database. It's the people that you know. It's the people that you have relationships with. And why I like doing these webinars, these Hangouts, whatever you call them, these YouTube Live events, is I want to get to the bottom of what works and why this works for certain people, maybe why it doesn't work for others, and if this is right for you. So if you're currently a Vyral Marketing client and you're getting results, you want better results, I want you to pay attention. We're going to talk to with Robbie here today. If you're a Vyral Marketing client that's not getting results and you're struggling to see business come in from, staying in touch with the database, publishing educational online, building relationships using technology to enhance what you're doing in the real world or over the phone, pay attention to what we're going to talk about today, because there will be some very important insights after talking in the green room time with Robbie. That's important for you to make the shift that's necessary to see value into building and working and nurturing and communicating with a list of relationships for business, maybe away from typically cold calling strangers all day long, as a point of contrast. So if you like what you hear on this webinar, I'd like you to go to our webpage and our homepage of our website. It's getvyral.com, VYRAL. On the homepage, you're going to be able to download the official video marketing plan that we recommend. This is the exact plan that Robbie's following to help you reconnect with and to grow and to nurture your number one business asset, again, your database, by sending them what we recommend for all of our clients to start are 2 quick educational videos a month, usually Q&A in nature, to your database. So you can go download that marketing plan there. So, Robbie, welcome, my friend.
Hey, Frank.
Cool. You are in Virginia Beach. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
11 years. You've been selling.
Yep. About 11 years in the business. Yep.
Okay. Before that, you were in college drinking beer and doing construction. Is what you wrote down here?
That's it. Yeah. That's
okay.
Paraphrase.
Was that the paraphrase?
Yeah.
Sound good. But you sold 330 homes here your entire career, right?
Yeah, roughly. Yep.
So far this year, you sold 42, aiming for 60 homes this year.
So far this year, 25, aiming for.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, about
25 years.
25 as of June. So yeah, a little under 30.
That's great, man. Congratulations.
Aiming for 60. So a little behind so far.
Average price point's about 200,000 for you in Virginia Beach.
Yep.
Okay. GC last year was about 220,000.
Yep.
And year to date, you sold about 25 homes, which is great. Mm-hmm. I just want to give our audience a little background of you so they can kind of position like where your business is at. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
And then you have on here, business came from about 16 to 17 deals came from your sphere of influence and past clients. Mm-hmm. A lot from property flipping. We'll talk about that. And some deals from builders, which you want to build more relationships with builders and how you can get potential buyers or sellers from those relationships. Is that right?
Yep.
And your goal this year is about 60 transactions, 60 deals that you want to do. All right. Mm-hmm. So where I'd like to start with this is let's just talk about your business before Vyral Marketing. Let's talk about your initial approach. You got into real estate, you were selling homes, your philosophy, your mindset, your approach, what you did. How did you get started selling real estate, and what was your overall philosophy of how to work it for business before Vyral Marketing?
So I got started selling real estate when I was 22 years old, right out of college, and I like to joke that I wasn't just scared to call people, I was scared to answer the phone. That's when they, still had floor duty, and got into but I forced myself to do the uncomfortable stuff. And since I was young, none of my friends were buying homes or selling homes at that point. So I focused for sale by owners and expired listings, which was a great habit to learn. But then going later into my career, it sort of formed a bad habit because I had trained myself not to call my sphere of influence and then what would become past clients. So that's kind of been a hurdle I've been trying to get over to get to another level in my business. And as weird as it seems, like when you've trained yourself for 5, 6, 8 years, to not do something and to do something different, it's tough to automatically change that.
Okay. So when you first started into the business, it was a matter of you got to start picking up the phone and start talking to people.
Yep.
So you started with floor time. What was next?
Yeah, real quick, I started ignoring that. So really, pretty immediately was for sale by owners, or what I leaned on heavily, and then expired listings. Getting into like the Red X and stuff like that.
Okay. So you started cold calling and reaching out to people whose homes were expired, or they were trying to sell on their own, that you wanted to earn that business.
Exactly.
What was after that?
After that, kind of around that same time, one piece of my business was property flipping. My father's always done some real estate investing on the side. He's an auto mechanic by trade, but started flipping probably 5 or 6 properties a year. So I would help him find properties and learn, that business along the way from him. That's grown to, doing about 12 property flips a year at this point. And then, I started accumulating more past clients in Sphere and doing some business there. But up until recently, it hasn't been a real concentrated effort in terms of that. It's sort of just been what's come by luck and sending out some mailers and emails once in a while.
Sure. So when did you realize that maybe the benefits, let's say, of building and working a database? Because when you first started in real estate, you didn't know much. You had maybe your college friends. And then you start reaching out and working expireds and FSBOs, maybe taking some floor time. When did the idea that, relationships, and those must be nurtured in some way, really come to mind, that maybe that's an approach that you should follow in your business?
Honestly, I knew it the entire time. Early on, I was exposed to Mike Ferry, who, even though a lot of people think of as just cold calling, the first thing he says to do is call your database. And then worked for Keller Williams for years. And obviously the Millionaire Real Estate Agent is based around the idea that your business is your database. Really, it was just hang up on my part in starting out young in the business, and just, I don't know why, but having a hang up or limiting belief on prospecting and calling people that I know from the past, or that are past clients. Not really a rational hang up, I guess.
Well, let's talk about that. So, a lot of your training at the beginning is where you have to do is, you don't necessarily have a database.
Right.
You got to start calling people that you don't know. Right. Yep. But eventually you start knowing more people. And you knew that you'd probably get more results calling some of the people that you know, but you didn't. And that was for a while. And that's fine. But maybe we can go a little bit deeper on maybe why that was. Is there any reasons that maybe prevented you from, when you were maybe cold calling an expired lead or cold calling a FSBO, but you had past clients, you had people that you knew? Why did you start your day out with calling strangers and not calling the people that you know, where you know that maybe it might be a faster result to get a listing or a business from working people that you know?
It probably a couple of factors. One, I would say just being in the habit initially of calling the expireds and FSBOs first every day, and you kind of just do what you're used to. And then also, I suspect some of it is just programming from the time you're a kid. Is not, it's not polite to ask people for things. So obviously, if that's kind of what's in your mind, even if you don't realize it, it's going to be more uncomfortable to ask people for something, because you feel like you should be more polite to people than to people you don't know. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
Okay. So tell me about the mindset shift that you had, or maybe the frustration you were dealing with of, I really need to maybe get out of my set ways of talking to strangers all the time. And maybe I need to talk to some of the people that I know. What were some of the things that maybe started forcing that mindset change on you?
Well, for one, hitting a wall in my business. So over the past 3 years or so, I've been stuck, around 50 deals, give or take. And sort of what I've realized is at a $200,000 sale price, you can't just fix it by adding more leverage, or you're going to be pretty low on money. And so you have to increase the sales efficiency. And, in my 20s, taking home a couple $100,000 a year when my friends are making 45, it's like, hey, what's the problem? But, what I've realized as I've gotten older is that when you're running a business, bringing in a couple $100,000 a year, you're still worried about money all the time. You're not rich by any means.
It's also the fear of success, that when you make the money, it's now how do you continue to make it?
Yeah. It's just getting to a maturity level of saying, all right, I've got to do something, even if I'm not comfortable doing it. And if I want to grow, before when I was growing anyway, I didn't care. I was like, well, I'm growing. Why do something I totally don't feel comfortable doing? But when you stop growing, start looking at it and saying, all right, either I stay the same or do something uncomfortable.
Okay. So what made you realize that maybe this database pillar was the next pillar?
It's just something I always knew. Yeah, something I always knew, but decided that I had no choice but to do something about it.
Okay. So what did you do?
First, I signed up for Vyral Marketing. It made sense to me. I knew that I needed something that I was accountable to and that would happen without it depending on me. Because from my experience, if it's dependent on me sending an email or putting together a mailer, whatever, it's not going to get done, or if it'll get done sometimes, but probably at half the rate that you plan on doing it. So if you're saying I'm going to mail every month, you'll probably mail 4 to 6 times a year. Same thing with videos or emails. So that's what attracted me to Vyral, was saying like, I know this is going to get done and I need to do something consistent and stick with it in terms of database marketing.
But how did you know that this was likely going to work? I mean, so you spent $2,000 to hire us up front, and then the $550 a month you're spending. Who did you look up to? What models did you have to say, yeah, this strategy, this marketing plan is a fit for me?
Well, a lot of agents that I knew from coaching or from being in the same national company with were using it. And these were agents that I respected pretty heavily. Even a lot of agents that were in the Mike Ferry coaching that were some of the top agents in that, and then agents involved nationally with Keller Williams. So I knew that they would not be spending money on something and using it as a pillar of their business if it didn't make sense and it wasn't a good idea.
Okay. So what are some of your fears about getting started putting videos of yourself online and rounding up everyone you know and starting to market to it?
Oh,
what are some of your concerns?
If you're not used to doing video, which I guess people are starting to get more used to it, but I never really shot myself on video or whatever. So one of my fears was sounding terrible. Like, should I just write an email instead of sending out video? I think that's pretty common. And then calling the database was, which people that know how I do business are like amazed when I tell them I'm scared to call my database, but I call a lot of people.
But why is that?
But yeah, it is. It's an irrational fear, and just something that I heard a good analogy. People say I'm not good at going to networking events or calling these type of people, and it's like, you're not good at playing golf either. That's because you don't do it. So I think it's just a matter of something's uncomfortable for the reason doesn't matter. It's uncomfortable because you don't do it. If you start doing it, it'll be comfortable.
Okay. So you signed up for Vyral Marketing. What was it like shooting your first video?
It was kind of weird. you're like, don't know where to look in the camera. You're not quite sure. You just feel awkward.
Any way we made that easier for you?
Just if someone's new, just tell them they're doing a good job and to keep going.
Sure. Okay.
Because usually you sound way better and look better than you think. Typically think the worst of ourselves.
I want to ask you a couple of the questions before we go into the actual execution of Vyral marketing. But what were you doing to stay in touch with your database before you hired us?
So at that point, I would send out emails. Sometimes I would send out a newsletter. Sometimes I would send out a letter, whatever. But it was just inconsistent, and I would start one thing, stop it. It's just tough if you're not really skilled at marketing and graphic design to do that stuff consistently and it be worth your time.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned here that there was a philosophy shift, a mindset shift to be able to reach your goal. So you realize that, hang on, what was your goal? I asked you, what's the ultimate goal of your business here? Like where you want to
I wouldn't call it the ultimate goal, but say in the next 4 years, I'd like to be at 100 transactions per year. I'd like to increase that average price point to 400,000 or 500,000 from 200, which is doable. And then from there, who knows, maybe look at adding, building a team, that type of thing. But that would, that's what I feel like I need to get to be getting the most out of myself.
Yeah. You have wrote down here, moving, increasing your price point, cutting out the cold business. What do you mean cutting out the cold business?
No, not cutting out cold business. I think the idea was not to only rely on cold business, because to double your business, you're going to have to talk to more people you don't know. And then changing who I talk to. So one thing is, if you're going to call for sale by owners and expireds, call the ones that have a really expensive house, not a small inexpensive house.
That seems logical.
Yeah.
But getting over the fear of approaching that person with value.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it's a fear. It's just a focus. When you call everybody, it's going to be easier to meet with a lot of times the less expensive houses, because less people are calling them sometimes. So you've got to say, like, I need to focus on who I'm calling, not just a shotgun approach, or you're going to end up with the less expensive listings.
Okay. So let's talk about the execution of Vyral. So you schedule time every month and you record your videos.
Yep.
Your 2 educational videos a month. How do you come up with topics that you think people would be interested in?
Honestly, I'd kind of wing it. I don't know if I'd suggest that to everybody, but I'm happen to be fairly quick on my feet when it comes to talking about real estate. So I come up with a topic like 10 minutes before the video and then sort of ad lib whatever I'm saying.
But they're working.
People like them. I don't know.
So how do you know it's working?
Everyone I speak to that gets videos when I bring up real estate to them. And
what does it allow you to do? How does it help your business?
A few things. That, number one, presents a professional image. They don't know that Vyral is doing all of this work for me. In their mind, they're thinking, this guy is taking the time to put together these videos. He's obviously editing them. They look professional. They're consistent. They're coming out at the same time every 2 weeks. So to them, it presents an image of, like, this guy really has his stuff together. And secondly, it helps because my thinking is, if they like them, then that means they're keeping you in mind. And I get calls from people, that I necessarily wouldn't even think would call me. Like, I didn't think I had a very close relationship or even halfway close with them at all. And they call me and say, hey, I've been watching the videos. I want to sell my house or buy a house.
So you could say that you've gotten some indirect as well as some direct results or something like doing something like this.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. So what do you think your return on investment has been by spending $550 a month? You know, how much that money comes back to you at the end of the day from your marketing, from investing in marketing? Do you have any idea of like what the ROI, the return on investment is from your database pillar, from the people that you know, like how much business that comes from that has been influenced from Vyral?
Yeah, so I would say if you're kind of passive about it, which I was starting out, it's probably a 10-to-1 return on investment. You've got a decent amount of people in the database, and then I'm starting to like call the people more proactively, which is like crazy. It's way different. There's way more business there than I thought there was. So I'm
Say it again. What do you mean there was crazy and there's more business there than you thought there was?
Oh, do you want me to like give you a couple examples?
Yeah, tell me some stories. So you started calling the database.
All right. So the first person,
like, oh my goodness, there's business here.
Yeah, the first person I called, I think I mentioned to you, basically simple script. I said, hey, I haven't talked with you in a while. I wanted to see if you had any real estate questions right now that I can help out with. And he said, well, nothing immediate. I don't want to waste your time right now, but I'm looking for a waterfront property, but I probably won't be buying for like 2 months. I said, okay, what price point? He said around under 600, maybe one that needs some work, that's like 3 times our average price point in the area. So that's a pretty good lead. That was the first person I called. The second person I called and said, we love you. We love the contractors you referred to us when we bought the house. I didn't even know they were working with the contractors, but apparently they've done like 10 things for them around the house. And they said, I've told like 5 people your name. Have you heard from this person and that person? And I said, no. And she said, well, I saw this person liked your video. Anyway, so I said, well, give me their information. She gave me 2 referrals on the spot. And I said, look, if you feel like we can help these people out, then call me and give me their information. Ask them if I can contact them because they don't remember to do it. When you tell them my name, they don't know me. And she said, oh, okay, I didn't know that. I'll do that from now on. So anyway, that's 2 calls. Left the messages for a few people. So I've just started like calling daily this past week. Yeah, pretty much everybody is happy to hear from you and typically has referrals or wants to do something.
Robbie, that's very profound.
So people aren't saying to do that for no reason.
Yeah. So what does someone need to know to break through that? Maybe they hate waking up in the morning. They hate putting out cold calls. They hate talking to strangers. You know,
I mean, whether it's strangers or people you know, you cannot succeed in the business without talking to people every day. People you know, which I've resisted for a long time, are easier to do business with, and it's a more productive call than people you don't know. And if you don't know enough people, you've got to talk to people you don't know to add to the number of people that you know.
Oh.
So pretty simple.
But here's the thing. It's one thing to sit here and listen to this and say, duh.
Right.
It's another to be in the situation when you make a paycheck and you make money, and now all your real fears and beliefs and stories and all those things come out, and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to make cold calls because I can fly through it. And, you know, so I want to see, like, even though it sounds simple, it was very difficult for you, and it's very difficult for a lot of people. But you made that shift.
Well, most people in real estate have a difficult time calling people they don't know. A lot of people that are usually pretty strong producers are more scared of calling people that they know. Mm-hmm. They cold call a lot starting out. I don't know why that is, but yeah, I think it's getting to a point of saying, you know, something's going to be uncomfortable for you to be able to grow, or they wouldn't call it growing. It's getting to a point, like I mentioned earlier, of saying either I get over that or I stay, deal with it and stay the same forever.
Good.
So unless someone's willing to make that decision to be uncomfortable, there's nothing, just like how I had been doing, and we're talking about several years of doing the same thing over and over. There's nothing anybody can tell you until you just decide that you want to grow.
So how much have you grown your business from the time you started Vyral to now?
Well, when I started Vyral, it's kind of funny. 2 months after I started Vyral, I decided to move to Florida. I'm in Virginia now.
So from Virginia to Florida.
From Virginia to Florida, the Sarasota area is where I went, and part of my family's moved there. It's a really nice area, so it was appealing. But went down there, and sometimes, I just missed home. Sometimes things are better in theory than in practice. So after a couple of months, I came back to Virginia.
Okay.
So got that out of my system. But anyway, over the past year, I took about 4 months off of work here in Virginia. And so my business dipped a little while I was in Florida. But coming back here in January, I'll probably have my best year ever this year. And a big portion of that, because I like told everyone I knew I was going to Florida and never coming back. But I did not stop sending videos. And I feel like if I hadn't have done that, my business would have seen a big dip this year. So it hasn't grown. But looking at it in context, for it to stay the same is crazy, is really good. And then I do feel like by following the system closer and doing everything, not just the videos, but making the calls, I think I'll see, pretty big growth over the next year.
Great. Okay. So let's talk about your calls. How do you arrange your schedule, and how many calls in a day do you make looking for business?
Okay. So to start the day, I call new expireds and withdrawals. So that's usually about 5 contacts on a Mojo dialer. It might be, total dials, that might be 80 dials.
To speak with 5 people?
Yep. So that'll take probably 40 minutes. Some days you might speak to 10 people, 5 to 10 people. Then I call any hot leads several days before. Then I call my sphere. So 3 to 5 people from my sphere. And then I would talk to or leave a message. And a lot of people call back when you leave a message anyway, if you hadn't talked to them in a while. And then, so the last thing I'll do is go through the new for sale by owners and call them. And then I'll end up before lunch following up on the non-hot leads. Like if it's people that you're kind of like nurturing on, or for sale by owners that you're just kind of calling every week to stay in their ear, I'll do that before lunch. And granted, that's an ideal day. So another thing about wanting to grow the business to 100 deals is doing that every single day.
So you spend the whole morning making calls looking for business? Ideally.
Yeah, the whole morning.
Whole morning. I'm sorry, the whole morning looking for business. I apologize. How many people
from 8 to noon.
How many people do you want to speak with ideally from 8 to noon?
About 30 people.
30 people.
And probably when you're counting lead follow-up, probably 40.
So you speak to 30 to 40 people every single day before noon, 5 days a week, or at least that's the goal.
That's the goal, yeah.
How close are you?
And sometimes, how close am I?
Mm-hmm.
Usually you end up hitting between 20 and 30, because sometimes there'll be a lead that ends up being a long conversation, or where you need to, it takes some time to convert, but it's worthwhile. And then some of that might be looking over property for builders or for the flipping business. And if something pops up that's real good, I may divert and spend a little bit of time getting that out and trying to get an offer going on it. But it's still looking for business.
Got it. Okay. So how has Vyral marketing helped with those contacts every morning? When you're prospecting every single morning, have you seen the stuff you're doing at Vyral give you a benefit with that?
So I just started making a strong effort to put the people that don't want to do anything now, or that I or a kind of a nurture lead into Vyral. So I don't have any data on that, but I'm guessing, everyone else I've ever spoken to that gets the videos likes it. So I'm thinking that'll probably help convert some of those people in the long term.
Got it. So it's not just your past clients and the people you know. You're also including in your database the people you speak with on the phone that are actually interested in buying or selling a home soon.
Yep.
And you get their information, make sure that they're in their database as well.
Yeah.
So when you started with Vyral, how many people did you start were in your database when you started with Vyral marketing?
Probably 500.
And what would you say it is now?
It's probably around 600. So I haven't done a great job. Like that was 500 was everything that Vyral helped me compile. So before Vyral, I would say there were probably 180. And then when you guys did the compilation of your Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, all your people, it grew it to about 500 immediately. And now it's probably at about 600.
Great. Okay. What are you doing to grow your database every day?
Calling people I don't know, and then asking for referrals from people I know.
But when you call people you don't know, how do you get their contact information to add to your database?
If they say I'm not going to do anything right now, I say, do you mind if I stay in touch in case you want to do something in the future? And they say, or I say, do you mind if I send you my information in case you want to do something in the future? And a lot of times they just see that as an easy way to get off the phone with you. So I say, what's your email address? Take the email address and I'd say, okay, I'm going to send you an intro email with my contact information. And we also send out a couple videos a month on the real estate market. That'll be explained in the intro email. But if you need anything, give me a call anytime. And then they get an intro email that also tells them that they're going to be getting 2 videos a month and that they can unsubscribe at any time if they want. Our goal is not to spam them, but to be helpful. And then they're on the video emails.
Great. So why are you successful at this? I mean, so you're getting results with Vyral and you're saying this is helping me with my business. You have some direct results, you have some indirect results. What recommendations would you give to somebody that is maybe your old self or somebody like your typical, let's say, real estate professional? It's maybe like, man, maybe I got to do something with this database thing. Maybe there's business here. But they're very
very
uncertain. What do you tell them?
So number one, I would say spend the money on a program like Vyral. I mean, Vyral's the best one I know of. If I knew of a better one, I'd be doing that. But for the money, I think it's the best value out there. Spend the money, make the commitment. You're probably spending money on something that is a way worse idea, like Zillow leads or something. Allocate that money to marketing to your database. Follow the marketing plan 100%, and it'll be the best investment of money and time in your day that you can possibly make. I think it's proven.
Good. Okay. You said there was a couple of things we wanted to work on. We offer a little select Facebook advertising now, right?
Yep.
Do you spend a lot of money driving people to your website?
Not much. No, I'll boost some of the posts that are the videos. Like when a video is put out on Facebook, I'll boost it to like fans of my page and their friends in the area. That's about it.
Okay. Well, one of the things that we can is when somebody visits your website or someone checks you out online, we can make sure that when they go to Facebook, your videos pop up to contact you. Mm-hmm. Called retargeting or remarketing. That's something that we want to do a good job with to see if we can get people to contact you that way.
Yep.
person we work with here at Vyral to say, hey, when somebody visits my website, when someone wants to check us out, when someone was researching us, how can we make sure we pop up on Facebook as well to remind them, hey, we're still here to help you if you want to contact us.
Right. Yep.
Right. Good. All right.
Yeah, I talked with Paul, my Vyral coach, about that today. So we actually have a call scheduled Friday to do that.
Wonderful. Is there anything else you can share for the audience that you think back, because you watched a lot of these educational webinars and hangouts before you started with Vyral, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is there anything that you wish was communicated on these webinars that you would want to have heard back when you were in that stage of your business and life? Just been watching this right
now. No, I mean, two things that, if you're already working hard and you want to grow your business, there's, two things that can do it. Number one, being better at time blocking. So doing what you need to do more consistently. And number two, better communication with your database. That's pretty much it. I always knew that. And it's just making a decision, instead of being 25, going out to the bar and blowing off prospecting the next morning. I mean, it's just making a decision that that's your job and that's what you're going to do every day. And stop looking for, I would say the only other thing would be stop looking for a magic bullet or, there's so many marketing companies out there that really prey on real estate agents. I think that if someone tells you one deal will pay for itself, like that's like my cue to hang up on somebody.
I never say that. Let's talk about that, of how dangerous that is, shall we, for a little bit? So,
sure.
Generally speaking, you should never spend, as a general rule, you would invest 10% of your money to get a deal. So, for example, let's say your commission is $1,000. You can afford to spend $100 to acquire it.
At most.
At most. So let's say the deal is $10,000. You can spend $1,000 to get it, right? Because you have to have money left over for overhead. You have to have money left over to pay yourself. You have to have money left over for other business expenses and a profit. So at most, you can afford to spend 10% of what that deal is worth to probably acquire it. So the other way of looking at that is you're looking for a 10-time return. So you spend $100, you get $10,000 back. Another way of looking at it is you will invest 10% of your gross commission income over a couple months, an average over a couple months, to acquire a business.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where are you at? How do you think about spending money on Vyral and the other marketing that you spend? How do you approach the spending or the investment of marketing dollars financially, as far as like maybe from a profit and loss budget standpoint, or just getting comfortable with the idea of I got to write some checks?
Yeah. So
tell me about that.
Well, there's a couple ways I look at that. The first thing I look at is the only thing worth spending money on, unless you're becoming like a larger team, and I don't even know then if it's worth spending money on anything else. The only thing worth spending money on marketing wise is marketing to your database.
Why is that? That's a pretty profound statement.
And that's for 99% of agents, because if you are not at the point yet where you're getting the most out of your time and actually lead generating every day, then spending money on generating a buyer lead or anything else besides nurturing what you've already spent time to develop, which is your database. If you're going out and spending money on leads but not lead generating, you're basically saying, I'm willing to make a lower profit and get paid less for my time because I don't want to do what I really should be doing. And that's just not good business.
I also think you're thinking in terms of assets. You're building an asset, a marketing asset that will provide for you, and investing in a brand in your own database as opposed to giving some other company money for leads, and you're kind of held hostage to them. in many
Right.
ways.
Yeah. Now it does get to a point where you may max out
Your database.
your database and the amount of leads and people that you're physically able to call or meet. At that point, you're going to be doing a lot of business. If you've actually maxed that out, then you're going to have money to maybe spend on some other things to market to people you don't know. But you should not be marketing to anyone you don't know until you're marketing to your database and meeting or calling as many people as you possibly can.
And a lot of that we talked about has to do with a lot of the limiting beliefs and the way you think about things, overcoming those. Getting comfortable making calls.
Yeah, getting comfortable making calls. We're in a sales business, and it's possible to grow a large business without doing outbound lead generation, but you're going to have a low profit margin, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to sleep at night because you're going to have 15% profit margin, once you start building a team around that. And to me, it doesn't seem real comfortable to be bringing in $2 million a year and making 200,000. That seems like you're on the verge of going out of business.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
You said earlier that even though you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars, a little exaggerating, but literally in the plural, hundreds, right? Money was still a worry. How in the world is money still a worry when you're making $200,000 a year?
Because that's
question. I know the answer, but I wanted to hear from you.
Yeah, because in reality, $200,000 a year, if you're working hard, so you want to go out to nice dinners and stuff here and there, and have a decent car, live somewhere nice, in a decent neighborhood. That's not a lot of money nowadays. And we're in real estate. We don't have a lot of people, I think, compare what we make to their friend who is making 80 grand, but that friend may have 401k contribution and a guaranteed retirement income.
No expenses.
No expenses.
Certainty.
People don't understand how valuable, number one, that retirement income is. So we have to create our own retirement income, which we need to be saving at least 75 grand a year after taxes to invest.
75 grand.
75 grand.
That's a lot of money, Robbie. Where'd you get that number from?
Well, you're looking at, okay, so if a guy that works at the shipyard that I went to high school with is making 75 or 80 grand, and then once he retires in 25 years, gets paid 60 grand a year forever, and can go out and get another job for 20 years. Look, he may live 40 more years, 60 grand. That's 2.20. That's a lot of money. I can't do the math. 2.4 million plus whatever he makes from his other job until he decides to quit working altogether. So if you look at it that way, you're like, okay, I need to retire. I need $3 to $5 million in either assets or cash saved up to invest.
Yeah.
And how are you going to get it? I mean, like, how many years are you going to work, and where's it going to come from? Your real estate company is not giving you 60 grand a year once you decide to stop working at the real estate company.
No, it's not.
So that's the realization I'm coming to. It's like, it's a lot of money. You need to make a lot of money.
There's a lot of depth there. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk again, because I want to go deeper on this, because so much of when you gave you your write-up, I want to talk about the psychology. I mean, at the surface, it's like, yeah, I call people I know, I get referrals, my videos back me up. But we're going deeper on like the reasons why people don't and why you're successful.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the peace of mind that working a database brings you, as opposed to the peace of mind that you don't necessarily have with other lead sources. So let's talk about getting rich and making money with peace of mind.
Sure.
How is the path that you were on before not bringing you peace of mind versus the path, I hope, is now somewhat? All right. Let's talk about before. What peace of mind did you not have before?
Okay. So if you're calling FSBOs and expireds, if you're really good, you get an appointment for every 10 calls. And I would say you probably get a listing for every 3 meetings, maybe. Like the typical numbers don't apply. Like the numbers are way worse than dealing with referrals. So if you just look at how much work you have to do to generate a deal, it's way more work. And then if you then do business with those people, but don't follow, but now they are a past client. So if you don't, now you decide that you don't call them since they're no longer an expired, they're now a past client. So I'm throwing them away. Then every single day you're starting at 0. And I honestly, if you're calling your database, you can call 3 to 5 people and probably get an appointment. And then that appointment probably has a 60 to 70% likelihood of listing their house with you.
So where does the peace of mind come? It's just less work to get the business? Or
well, less work
with you?
Less work, and you're it's repeatable. So if you're saying I'm talking to people I don't know and throwing anyone I've done a deal with away, then you have to constantly be talking to people you don't know every day. If you're talking to your database, then and talking to some people you don't know, then you're growing the database, but that person you talk to in the database is still in the database at the end of the year. So not only did they give you a deal today, they can give you a deal 2 months from now, 3 months after that. And when you start growing that database, you can wake up after a few years and say, hey, I know for a fact that from these 500 people, I'm going to do 50 deals or 60 deals, whatever, this year. Mm-hmm. That's going to happen. Then the only thing I don't know is like how much business I'm going to get from people I don't know yet. And then how many people do I need to add to the database? But when you cultivate the database properly, there's a mathematical certainty of how much money you're going to make from that database from January 1st to December 31st.
And it's that certainty that's giving that peace of mind. Now, what other method of growing your business gives you certainty like
that? Talking to for sale by owners, expireds, doing open houses, circle prospecting, all of that has certainty. It's just certain that you're going to have to talk to a lot more people than you have to talking to your database. So all of that's trackable and has certainty. But if the amount of effort it takes, if you do not incorporate your database, you're going to hit a wall and not be able to grow and be profitable.
What about joy or fulfillment? Not only do you have to talk to more strangers to get a deal, but I mean, is it any different calling the people that you know in your database versus calling strangers versus like actually as a human getting into work and doing the work, or it just doesn't phase you as far as like your calling doesn't make a difference?
Yeah, it's definitely more fulfilling because you hear the stories from people, especially if it's a past client. They're going to tell you like how good of a job you did for them, and it helps your confidence. I'm not a believer that when I call people I don't know, I feel like they're pretty nice, but they don't know me. There's no connection there. So it's more like just vanilla. They're not against me, but they're not for me. They don't necessarily trust me. They don't have fond memories of me. So it's more like, I didn't think it would be, but when you're talking to your sphere and past clients, it's like you're getting paid to talk to a friend. You're talking to someone you don't know yet. It's just strictly business. It's a little more fun. Like most people would rather hang out with their friends than talk business. So, I mean, that it's more fulfilling.
Got it. How much time would you say the whole viral marketing plan takes for you? Like how much time do you have to invest to be able to get all these benefits that we talked about so far a month?
2 hours a month.
And what do you spend those 2 hours on?
Probably 40 minutes creating and making videos, or coming up with a topic and recording, and an hour and a half to 2 hours calling the people that watch the videos.
Oh, so that includes the calling of the following up too.
Yeah, maybe a little more than that, but not a lot of time.
Okay. So how hard was that for you to stop calling and to not be on the phone making calls, to sit back and to make videos during
I
the
thought,
workday. Let's talk.
honestly, for a while, every time I had the meeting for the videos, I was like, this is a waste of time. I should be calling.
Interesting.
I should be calling for sale by owners right now. But I mean, the numbers totally contradict my thought. I think it was just my mind playing tricks on me. So, but yeah, the numbers say like
It's very real.
I mean,
for
like
the longest time, you've been sitting. I gotta make my calls. I gotta make my calls. I gotta grind it.
yeah,
out. And you know that's not the right answer long term. You know it's not gonna provide for you. But you like train yourself to get in that mode of talking to 30 people a day. Like that requires like some serious like mental games of like making sure you always do that every day, right? And
yeah.
then when something takes away from that, you have this like emotional reaction like, I cannot be doing this, even though when you know it's good for you.
Yeah, it's probably how carpenters felt when they started using a nail gun instead of a hammer. They're probably like, man, this seems too easy.
I like that analogy.
But yeah, I guess like in terms of like if someone else is watching, probably two of the most seasoned people I know in the real estate business are Gary Keller and Mike Ferry. Both of them say the highest return of investment on your time is calling people you know, past clients and sphere of influence. And I think they know what they're talking about. So
that's great.
Great. So yeah, that me not doing that was just for good or better or worse, you know.
This has been a good interview, man. I think we talked a lot about the human psychology to get results with what they're doing, right? We didn't talk tactics. We didn't talk about SEO. We didn't talk about how great your videos are. I didn't show any examples.
Yeah.
I think by hearing the psychology of success with this, the philosophy of it, the peace of mind, the less calls, right? The people know who you are. You have people reaching out to you. And, you know, you mentioned you're getting about like a buyer a month or something pretty consistently from this, just by these things going out.
Buyer or seller, typically sellers.
Good. Well, because buyers just want to see the home. A seller wants to know their agent.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, which is what these videos help you do.
Yep.
That's good, man. Well, let's wrap it up. Maybe why don't you give me a soundbite for a testimonial? You've been working with us. You've been getting results. What do people need to know about viral marketing?
Oh man, let's see. Soundbite. Okay, so if you're thinking about marketing to your sphere or getting more consistent with marketing to your sphere and past clients, in my mind, viral marketing offers the most complete and done for you service that will enable you to do that consistently and has a plan that actually makes sense and will generate business for you. So sign up with them, do the videos, make the calls, and you will become richer.
I love it. That'll be your major. All right, everybody. I appreciate you watching this. Hopefully you got some good insight on the psychology of how to be successful, the philosophy, the approach, the mindset to why database, why work that list, and some of the fears, some real fears and some things you have to overcome mentally and internally to get over the fear of strangers and calling people you know and slowing down, right, Robbie, and making a video. You think it's a waste of time in the moment, right? When you're just so on those phones.
Yeah, or even like me being afraid of calling people I knew. If you're afraid of calling people you don't know, it's the same thing. Like it's an irrational fear.
Yeah. So anyways, we'll go ahead and end this webinar here. If you'd like to learn more about viral marketing, go to getvyral.com, VYRAL. And you can download, like I said at the very beginning of this, you can download the official video marketing plan. This is a marketing plan we recommend to reconnect with your database, your past clients, your sphere, the people that you know, your customers. Round them all up, reconnect with them, how to grow your database, how often you should communicate with it, how you send videos, how you prioritize follow-up, the whole video marketing plan that all of our clients implement viral marketing to get great results. You can get on the homepage of our website, getvyral.com, go check it out. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about what this might look like for you, if you want to hire us to help you execute this program, you need some help with the video editing, the writing, and being able to pull this off, you can go to our website and request a free strategy session. And you'll talk to us. You'll actually talk to Sarah right over here. She is my right-hand person. I listen to the calls. She's fantastic. All right. And we also offer a 30-day no-risk trial. So if you're concerned about how you look on video, you're concerned about working with us, you're concerned about how this whole thing's going to be pulled off, you know, if any time in 30 days you don't like it, it's not working out for whatever reason, you can cancel, get all your money back. Just to give you some feeling of what this, if this is right for you. You don't know until you do it. We don't know until we send an email to your list. We don't know until we get you on video how good we are. So that's how we want to remove those issues. So thank you so much, Robbie. Thank you for being a great client and doing this interview. Much appreciated.
Absolutely. Thank you.